Hey summoners, make sure you're subscribed to the Mobalytics YouTube channel and hit that bell button, that way you're always up to date and part of our notification squad. Hello summoners and welcome back to Mobalytics, where today we have the patch 8.24b video tier list. On the League side of things, this patch is an intermediate patch between 8.24 and 9.1 to start Season 9. That being said, this is just a smaller patch with a list of hotfixes, so there's not really any new skins or anything like that. However, from our end, we do have one big change we'd like to give a shout out to, which is Midbeast. We are working with him now, and he will be helping out with the tier list. He'll be giving some insight, and he'll always have a pick of the week as well, the same way we will. So make sure you guys show him some love. I'll leave a link to all his socials and stuff like that in the description down below. Also, one more important thing, on the blog, if you guys didn't know, you get access to the full tier list. So if you're looking at C tier, which is something that we don't go over or talk about in the video, you can always go to the blog and there will be a C tier, which is a list of playable champions. The video format will only show champions that we think are B, A, or S, so really good for solo queue, but things that are playable or pretty good or kind of okay will always be in the blog. So make sure if you always want the full tier list, you can check that out in the link below. As always, let's start with top lane. Wukong, Mordekaiser, Karthus, Sion, and Cassiopeia will be S tier this time around. Cassiopeia is an interesting champion that we'll get to in a second. The reason Mordekaiser is here is because of the Shield Bash rune. Mordekaiser is incredibly hard to trade against in the top lane, and across all elos, pretty much doing very well at the moment, so I am a big proponent of Mordekaiser. He's just weird to play. As for Cassiopeia, this is a champion that shot way up and even received her little nerf on this patch, but this champion is insane, with the Q-Max and the Comet build with Illudens being more of a mid to early game bully. Actually, last time Adam's pick of the week was Cassio talking about this, and this just shot way up in priority. Cassio is a bit easier to execute in the top lane, and you can bully harder, which makes her a good top laner. Despite the nerfs, we still think she'll be excellent, just because of how broken she is. We also have our first pick of the week, this time with Fiora from Hewitt. Hewitt picked Fiora because of the Essence Reaver build. This is really helping Fiora out. Players are taking Tiamat into Essence Reaver and Death's Dance, having a lot of AD and CDR way earlier than they would normally get in their build, at the cost of a little bit extra survivability early on. It's all worth it because the Essence Flare buff gives Fiora extra attack speed and reduced cooldowns to destroy her opponents in duels much earlier than her usual build path, due to costing about 700 gold cheaper than Trinity Force. This does come at the cost of health and reduced survivability, especially with that phage movement speed, which will make you have to rely on better timed riposte to live against big damage, but if you are confident on your skills on Fiora, then you definitely should try out this build. For high elo top lane, we do have Jax, Cassiopeia, and Riven shooting up. Everybody here is different except for Cassiopeia. We have Mordekaiser going down due to him being a bit easier to abuse and gank a lot in high elo. Camille did receive a huge nerf with the Tiamat nerf, which we'll get into when we come to the jungle role, but the one thing to note about the Tiamat nerf is that for solo laners it matters less. Typically the reason that the jungle thing matters more for the Tiamat change is because in the jungle you try to clear exactly to get your Tiamat timing, but sometimes top lane you'll back with 400 gold, 500 gold and get a Doran's Blade, and then farm out to your Tiamat anyway. So it's not huge for Camille. Moving on to the jungle position, this is where that Tiamat nerf comes into play. Champions like Shaco get hit very hard with this, as well as Jax. The reason again being because you're typically doing a full clear, trying to get exactly to your Tiamat gold. Now you have to consider maybe backing early to get partially a jungle item, or finding some kind of gank. This means that champions who don't necessarily rely on Tiamat, things like Xin Zhao or Kha'Zix, will be a bit better. They don't require Tiamat the same way Jax or Camille or Shaco do. For this reason, Adam has chosen Elise as his pick of the week. With Tiamat junglers taking a big hit this patch, ganking junglers who would previously fall behind in farm compared to their counterparts will be on the rise. And Elise is still an extremely powerful early game ganking jungler in a meta anyway that games are ending quick. Her ability to tower dive safely is also extremely valuable now more than ever since the turret damage buffs came in. Being able to take over the game without the requirement of a Tiamat means that Elise will have lower tier jungle competition to deal with, meaning that already a great A tier champion is just going to get better and better, and we very much suspect that high elo players who are already playing her will continue to play her more. For the high elo jungle role, this is a role where pretty much Kha'Zix stands out above the rest, which is why he sits alone in S tier. It's not that there's no other good junglers, it's just that no one else truly compares, so it's hard for us to put anything but Kha'Zix in there, maybe aside from something like Xin Zhao or Elise. Regardless, the rest of the champion pool is still okay in A tier and still doing well, we just think Kha'Zix is so far above the rest. There's a good chance that we could be wrong here, however, and there could be certain champions maybe like Kindred or Ivern with the buffs to enchanter items. Even something like Shaco might still be okay if you're able to get off more ganks, but truly the Tiamat nerf is no joke for the jungle position, so keep an eye on that. For mid lane this week, we have our very first pick of the week coming in from Midbeast in Galio mid, which we'll talk about in just a moment. We have a couple things here and there. We talked about Wukong in the previous tier list, why he is actually a good mid laner. It's due to the fact that you can get AD, and then the resistances that you need, so he has a stronger early game than before, and he is pretty tanky. Mordekaiser is the same reasoning. Shield Bash is still great on him mid lane, but I would say he's slightly better top, but still S tier for mid. You have a ton of mages in A tier that are doing well. Veigar, Ziggs, Zyra, Karthus, Lux, Cassio, everything like that, all doing well in A tier. We also hit on Cassiopeia being a bit better in the top lane, being able to abuse melee carries more than mid laners, so that's why she drops down from S into A. For Midbeast, this was his first pick of the week, so make sure you guys let him know what you thought of his pick. This time he's going in with Galio, AP Galio mid. The reason for this is because of the build of Protobelt into Morello, Zhonya's Deathcap and Void seems to be a very strong mid laner and probably will receive some nerfs before the Season 9 actually begins. Every pro mid laner is spamming Galio mid, and it has really no bad matchups. The reason for this is because with a wide variety of mid laners that can be picked, without super OP counters as Aurelia and Akali have received nerfs over the last couple of patches, this means that control mages are starting to see a rise. Especially in high elo, things like Syndra or Ori are starting to get picked more, which is perfect for Galio. Galio also happens to counter assassins, so if you try to pick things like LeBlanc into Galio, holy moly, good luck with that matchup, my friend. The Aftershock tankiness as well as the full AP damage means that he is very tough to deal with. Speaking of Galio, if you want to be the best that you can be, make sure you check out Mobalytics at mobalytics.gg as we just released the brand new Mobalytics 2.0. Using this, you can learn more than ever about a player and get an idea of what can make somebody really good and in some ways really bad. A great example with Galio is with LL Justice. This guy is a high elo Galio main on the NA server, and the crazy thing is that he maxes out in a couple of scores, having a very high aggression score, objectives, farming, versatility, and consistency. For the aggression score, it's crazy to see that a Galio main is not playing very passive, and if you want to learn from that, make sure you consider how you should play more aggressive, even on a tanky mage like Galio. If you want to learn how you can be better and learn how you can improve for Season 9, make sure you check out Mobalytics at mobalytics.gg. For high elo mid laners, you got Galio, Cassiopeia, and Zilean doing great in S tier. Zilean is just going to counter any assassin that anybody wants to play and is still underutilized and underplayed. Things like Zoe have been rising up, and we've talked about her a bit. Zoe is just sort of sitting there on the cusp of S tier, so make sure you keep an eye on her. Talon drops down a bit because of the Tiamat nerfs. He was definitely a solo laner that was using it. It's not huge, and he doesn't go down to B tier because he's not playing the jungle position, but it's not irrelevant on him for sure. Moving on to the bottom lane position, we have Veigar, Karthus, and Yasuo in S tier for everybody aside from high elo players. These champions are still good. Veigar scales up, Karthus is still a beast with Dark Harvest despite the nerfs, and Yasuo counters a lot of the ADCs people want to play. As far as the rest of the pool, things will get better over time. Caitlyn received buffs, Tristana received buffs, Varus might make his way back in, but typically he's not the best solo queue champion. I think if you want to play an ADC right now, your options are Lucian, Draven, Twitch, Kog'Maw, and Ashe. I would say those are your go-to things. And then if you don't like Misfortune, she's also pretty good, but maybe you could consider some mages as well. But your best bet at the moment still is to consider the mages over the traditional marksmen, but they're receiving buffs soon. Onto the high elo bottom laners, you do have Karthus, Lucian, Draven, and Cassio doing well. Cassio is good bot lane, and arguably the mana cost that she did get nerfed would be the most impactful for the bottom lane, but even then she is just the best champion in the game at the moment, so it's hard for us not to call her S tier. The other things are still good. I think Kai'Sa gets better and better as you go up in elo. I think things like Orianna and Talia, despite seeming weird at first, are pretty solid mages for the bottom lane, and some of the easier mages, things like Veigar will go down, Lux will go down, and I think Ezreal is actually really hard to play with the new W, and that's why we've adjusted his learning curve to severe. I do think Ezreal is a pretty good ADC, but you must be very proficient on him to make him a great champion. Onto the list for supports, we have our final pick of the week in A tier from me and Soraka. We have Brand, Sona, Zyra, and Nami in S tier. Of course, the enchanter items getting buffs are a big reason for this, so maybe you should keep an eye out on Janna in B tier. Maybe she'll start creeping up soon. There was a nerf to Zeke's conversions on this patch, but actually Zeke has a couple of bugs that the item is going through, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Right now, it's a little bit tough to say, but don't be surprised if some of the supports who were abusing Zeke's, maybe things like Blitzcrank or Taric, might go down over the next couple of weeks. My pick of the week is Soraka because of the buffs to the enchanter items on top of her already being good. I suspect that in a meta where we see buffs to traditional ADC marksmen coming back soon, and we also see buffs to tanks, which Soraka does very well with, it means that these high burst champions who have received nerfs, something like Akali, Aatrox, Aurelia, and LeBlanc, means this is a perfect time for Soraka to come back. Over the next 4 or 5 patches, she will most likely rise into S tier, and you can find a very strong duo lane even to play at the moment. Think something like Grasp of the Undying Caitlyn plus Aerie Soraka being incredibly impressive, and you can definitely win some solo queue games. For high elo supports, almost nothing has changed aside from Nami moving back up a little bit and Sona being great in S tier. I do think Janna Soraka will rise up over the next couple of patches, so we'll see that as well. I think Alistar is actually a champion despite receiving nerfs, still deserves to be B tier, but that's something to keep your eye on as well. I would not be surprised with the nerfs to Zeke's as well as Alistar directly if he falls off just a bit. Anyway, this has been the Mobalytics patch 8.24b video tier list. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials and check out the blog if you want the full tier list down below. Thanks again for Midbeast for helping us out, and check out the product at mobalytics.gg.